Good thing I brought my tissues, because I gotta go clean up now.
Are you an everyday nerd? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next episode. Yo, welcome to your Everyday Nerd, the show where wait. Yo, we're talking about a crossover the week that it aired? This is like new territory for me. I'm your host, Zack Snyder, and today's Adaptation Saturday. Happy Saturday. On Saturdays, we talk about the Arrowverse. That's it. Obviously, I'm just kidding, but as you guys know, I've caught up on The Flash recently, so I've had plenty to talk about in regards to the Arrowverse. We'll actually have a special Adaptation Saturday next week that I'm hyped for that's not Flash related, but first we need to talk about this new crossover, Elseworlds.
You failed.
For those of you that don't know, Elseworlds is this year's crossover for the Arrowverse. It consists of 3 parts taking place in Season 5 of The Flash, Season 7 of Arrow, and Season 4 of Supergirl. I'm currently caught up in The Flash, but I have yet to watch the other 2 shows, both of which I hope to get caught up in 2019. Fair warning, I will be covering minor spoilers for the crossover, so if you don't want to be spoiled at all, now is the time to leave. You can just leave the video running though and mute the video, go to a new tab, you know, help a boy's watch time out. Every time I get to one of these Arrowverse crossovers, I'm always a bit conflicted. Because on one hand, like, I'm really enjoying the plot right now in The Flash, and I want to see more of that. I don't want to have to wait like 2.5 to 3 hours, watch crossover, then get back to that. But on the other hand, like, these crossovers are usually really fun and enjoyable. There was the first crossover that sets up the Legends of Tomorrow. I accidentally skipped that one, so I gotta watch that later. Then there was the second one, which was Invasion, which had some very fun moments, but overall I felt like it lacked some substance. And then there was the third one, Crisis on Earth X, which I really enjoyed. And basically it's more like a better DCEU movie. It's not even the same ballpark of DCEU movie. That's the craziness. But overall, I think I've enjoyed Elseworlds more so than the others. It's the first one that not only had real stakes, but real consequences to the world. In fact, it's such a big event that it sets up one of the biggest events in DC Comics, Crisis on Infinite Earths, which we'll be seeing next year. And that's just completely insane to me. The fact that a TV show is going to be covering one of the biggest comic events ever before DC movies does. In many ways, Elseworlds is kind of like the Infinity War of the Arrowverse. It's not as good as Infinity War. I mean, Infinity War is the best movie ever made, but Elseworlds definitely checks a lot of the same boxes that Infinity War does, and it was also extremely enjoyable. For starters, let's talk about the plot. Essentially, this super powerful guy named the Monitor gives a book of destiny to John Deegan, a doctor that works at Arkham Asylum. When he uses the book, he changes up the very fabric of reality. The biggest change being that Barry Allen is now Oliver Queen, therefore he's now the Green Arrow, and Oliver Queen is now Barry Allen, therefore he's now the Flash. In other words, this is pretty epic. Eventually they find John Deegan with the help of Batwoman, try to use the book, but it's sent back to Deegan, who changes reality once more, this time making Barry and Oliver a criminal duo named the Trigger Twins, and also making himself Superman. With the help of Supergirl and the real Superman, as well as a deal made between Oliver and the Monitor, they fix reality and everybody lives happily ever after. The end. Well, not quite, because all of this really was just a test from the Monitor, because there's a much bigger threat coming next year in Crisis on Infinite Earths, so everything's not exactly happily ever after. This crossover is so freaking good. The fact that it sets up not only Batwoman, but Gotham City and Arkham Asylum was extremely cool as a Batman fan. We get a lot of references to famous Batman villains like the Riddler, Penguin, and Mr. Freeze. The music here. The music was so good. It was like straight out of a Batman movie, or like the Batman Arkham games. Batwoman herself was a lot better than I had expected. I was a little worried that Ruby Rose was not going to be as good, but she was fine. I didn't really have any issues with her. I am a little confused why I find the Batwoman suit more attractive than Kate Kane, but that might be just a me issue. The Monitor was also such a great character on screen. He had this menacing thing about him which made it seem like he was a villain, but in reality he's only testing everybody. The real villain was, of course, John Deegan, who I honestly didn't really care for as much. I thought he was fine. I did like Evil Superman, though. He was pretty good, while regular Superman was he just ended up being a bitch. He decided to hang up his cape because he's not as strong as Supergirl. That's what he said. I think it's just like the feminist angle they were trying to go. But, yeah. He's also going to have a baby with Lois Lane, so that could mean that Superboy is going to appear in the future. But I have a feeling it just means that Superman's not going to be showing up in these crossovers anymore. And since I haven't watched any of Supergirl, I don't know anything about it. We also got some really neat nods to past DCCW shows like the 1990s Flash with John Wesley Snipes returning as Earth 90's Barry Allen. Although we don't get a lot of him, it was still neat. We also get the theme song to Smallville, which I thought was really cool because I watched that as a kid when it cuts to Clark Kent's farm. I'm hoping that means we do get Tom Welling reprising his role as Superman in the multiverse next year in Crisis. One of the things I really liked about the crossover the most, though, was the acting of Grant Gustin and Stephen Amell. I regularly like both of their acting anyways, but it was really cool to see each of them take on the other's mantle, with Barry feeding into his anger a little bit and Oliver feeding into his, I guess, joy a little bit. It was a really nice change of pace for the both of them. I also really liked the Oliver and Monitor scene. I can't explain everything about it because I don't really want to spoil it, but it was such a really intense and kind of emotional moment, and it's gonna be important for next year's crossover. Also, my roommate just dropped the toilet seat. He's so loud. Overall, I really did enjoy this crossover. I don't know if you could tell by my constant praising. My only complaint, though, was the ending. It was good, but it felt like this should have been a 4-parter instead of a 3-parter, because the last part ended up tying everything up way too quickly. It was like 15 minutes. It just happened too fast. So there's definitely a bit of a pacing issue at the end, but as far as the rest of it goes, I thought it was really solid. Elseworlds was super dope. I'm definitely looking forward to Crisis on Infinite Earths. I really want to catch up on the rest of the Arrowverse before then, and I also really want to forget about the DCEU movies as quickly as possible. Also, by the way, since we're talking about this, if anybody wants, where's it at? I got a Suicide Squad DVD up there that says the word trash on it. If anybody wants that, I'm giving it away. So just let me know. I'll give it to you. That's all the time we have for today. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you disliked it, I guess you can go ahead and hit the dislike button too. It's there for you if you really did. A different Adaptation Saturday episode is coming next week. Get hyped. Flash Season 4 after that, and then 2019 is going to be filled with more Arrowverse, the MCU, which I'm really excited to talk about, and plenty of other things, both comic book related and anime related and video game related, and some other things with Adaptation Saturday. It should be pretty hype. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already, and I will see you on Monday. Goodbye.